There you go. The starting bell has sounded. All right. It is March 13th, I think.
Yep.
Yes.
Yes. All right. And this is Tuesday, March 13th. And we are endeavoring to
It's
persevere.
Monday. It's Monday.
Oh,
This
yeah,
is Monday, March
March 13th.
13th, 2023.
Yes.
Yes. And we are endeavoring to persevere. I am wearing my glowing head bulb. So eventually it will go out and things will get more dim in here than they usually are. And then anyway, okay. So we're starting off, we're missing a few people, and that is I suppose the way of things, but it's also unfortunate. Karen, is Karen well?
Last I heard, she is. I think soon her caretaker will be staying later into the early evening, and then Karen will be able to join us.
Oh, wonderful. Wonderful.
You know, it's daylight savings time now, and or it's standard, whatever it is, it's still light out. And for all I know, her caretaker may be there today, but I didn't have the opportunity to call Karen.
Understood.
I talked to her on Sunday and she said that, because I was telling her about it being changed till today, and she says, yeah, she knew, and that she wouldn't be able to be here because of the caretaker. So
Okay.
I don't know other than she said, but she gets the recording later.
Yes,
And hears
yes.
it.
Oh,
Right.
good. Oh, good, good, good.
But she says
We'll say
pretty
hi,
soon.
Oh, okay, we will. But we'll see her, Beverly and I will see her on Wednesday.
Wonderful.
So we will definitely say hi to her. And thank you so much for asking.
Well, yeah,
Yep.
she is a vital cog in the wheel of progress here. And
That's
so
right.
we
That's
miss
right,
her when
she
she's
is.
not here. We miss everybody when
Thank
they're
you.
not here.
Thank you.
Yeah. And when
That's what I said. Hi, Karen.
hello, Karen. And hello to Derek and Trisha and Terry and Clarissa and Ashley
Sylvia.
and I can see Nikki and Jimmy and Carla.
What show was that
Romper
from?
Room. Remember?
Romper
She
Room.
had her.
Yes.
I don't know what she
Oh.
said. She said something, and then she had held up the mirror, and she was saying, "I can see Jimmy and Tommy and Donnie and Katie and Sally, and I can see that bowl of asparagus that's half eaten."
Now,
And
can people hear this?
I don't
Oh,
know what
you're
you mean by
right.
that.
We're recording.
Oh, that's right. I forgot. Yeah. Okay. So,
Or
okay.
turn
That's
it
even
off,
better.
turn it back on.
Sorry.
We take our Bible study serious,
Yes, we do. We do.
Doesn't seem like it, but we do.
but it doesn't mean just because you're a Christian and doing a Bible study that you can't have joy.
That's true.
Right. That was one of the readings today about joy.
Oh, very
Mhm.
cool. Very cool.
Yes.
Joy and love. The two go hand in hand, side by side. They are like thick and thin. They are like peanut butter and jelly. They're like grapes and wrath. They are like, fruit stripe and gum. It's just the way that things are. And I think that it's amazing that that they are the byproducts of right action as well. And so when we live right and live rightly, and by that I mean when we seek the Lord and the will of the Lord, our perspective and our desires and our motivations begin to change, and they change to come more into alignment with the will of God. And when we're doing the will of God, we find ourselves to be happy and contented and at peace and at ease. And the whole world can go crazy, and there can just be calamity and situations, but there's always peace when we focus on the Lord. And the rest of the world can be going crazy. Tsunamis and volcanoes and small fur-bearing rodents climbing through the laundry bin or hanging upside down by extraterrestrial saucers,
Mhm.
barbed wire and small bits of fuzz and Q-tips made of steel wool bursting into flames, refillable hats, all of that can be taking place. But we have peace if we have the Lord. So there we go. Anybody else want to add anything to that?
Oh, that was a great connection. Yes.
Thank you. That's very kind of you. Okay, so the backlighting aside, I do have half of a candle lit here. I don't know what happened to the other half of the candle, but half of the candle is lit. I'd show you, but that would mean actually taking some sort of action to that end. So I'm not going to. Instead, we're going to focus on the book of Numbers. And we left off at the end of chapter 25. And unfortunately, during that particular episode or Bible study meeting, Beverly's phone died, and so she didn't get the benefit of most of what we talked about. Did you get an opportunity to watch the video?
No.
Okay. And but if you do, then you can see what we were discussing. And so now we're going to go, if it's okay with you, unless you want me to do a review. But honestly, with all the time that we've been wasting on other things, I'd like to just get right into it, and that way I can stop babbling like a drunk monkey, a drunkie, drunk me, monk, whatever. Anyway, Book of Numbers, chapter 26, verse 1. Then it came about after the plague that the Lord spoke to Moses and to Eleazar, the son of Aaron, the priest, saying, take a census of all the congregation of the sons of Israel from 20 years old and upward by their fathers' households, whoever is able to go out to war in Israel. Now remember, way back when in the book of Numbers, that a census was taken of each house of all the sons by their fathers, just to figure out what the population was available in Israel. Now there's another census taking place, but this is in order to find those people who are able-bodied enough to go to war, because war is impending, war is inevitable, war is coming upon the Israelites with their neighboring crowd. Okay. 3. So Moses and Eleazar, the priest, spoke with them, all the families and accompanying people, in the plains of Moab by the Jordan at Jericho, saying, take a census of the people from 20 years old and upward, as the Lord has commanded Moses. Now the sons of Israel who came out to the land of Egypt were, verse 5, Reuben, Israel's firstborn, Israel being Jacob, not the nation, but the firstborn child of Jacob, whose name was changed to Israel by Almighty God. Israel's firstborn son, Reuben, the sons of Reuben, of Hanach, the family of the Hanachites, of Palu, the family of the Paluites, of Herzon, the family of the Hezron, family of the Hezronites, of Carmi, the family of the Carmites. These are the families of the Reubenites, and those who were numbered of them were 43,730. Okay, so does that make sense? All those names were the sons or the houses of Reuben. Reuben was the eldest son of Jacob, whose name was also Israel. And Reuben's sons were those people. You had a question, Rachel?
Yeah. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you stated that that God didn't want to number people. And is this the first time that he actually told someone to number the people?
No. He's at the beginning of Numbers. He holds a census as well. He didn't want people numbering their livestock. He didn't want them numbering how much they had in order to determine how wealthy they were. Okay.
Okay.
God allows numbering for specific purposes, his purposes. When he orders people and things to be numbered and counted and censuses to be taken, it's for a specific purpose that is perfect. Okay. Later on many chapters down the road, we'll see in the book of First Kings, I believe it is, where Saul, the first king of Israel, decides that he's going to count his wealth, and so he's counting all sorts of things, and that's forbidden. God doesn't want that. Just to see how much wealth you have, and how well off you are. The idea is that whatever God has given you is sufficient to the purpose God has in mind for you. And that when we start counting and divvying up and accumulating, what we're actually doing is we're diminishing our faith in God. Okay, well, I've got 11 sheep and 6 goats, and that'll get me through the winter and maybe into early spring if we have a rough year. And so now my will comes into this picture. I am going to have to set aside stores and provisions and make this livestock work to my will and to my advantages in order to cover up what I suspect might be an inadequate amount of things that will sustain me. Where's the
Now,
faith in that?
so they didn't take a census, they took a stock of what you had. Is that what the census was?
No, the census is an actual, they're counting all the able-bodied men from the age of 20 up in order to
What does that
determine
have to do how many goats you have?
well, that's what we were talking about. God says, do the census, but I don't need you to take
Oh, but
stock of what you have.
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, that makes sense.
No, but thank you. Thank you for clarifying that. I couldn't think of a good way to explain that. Taking stock is exactly what I was trying to say in a very long and unwonderful way. Anyway, I forgot where I was. Oh, 8.
They were,
Seven?
they were taking count.
Right. Now, verse 8. The son of Palu, Eliab. The sons of Eliab, Nemuel and Dathan and Abiram. These are the Dathan and Abiram who were called the congregation, by the congregation who contended against Moses and against Aaron in the company of Korah when they contended against the Lord. Remember, there were a bunch of people that came together and they were grumbling and complaining and saying, enough of this. No, I'm not going to install that. Don't ever. No. Don't install and don't ask again. Okay. What in the world? Strangeness and oddities everywhere. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm going down these rabbit trails today. Please forgive me. It's snowing out. And that contributes to somebody whose mind is already loosely held together.
It's sunny right now. That's so weird.
Here it's a big dark cloud hanging over the place, and I can see the flakes flitting around. So
wow.
they're not as big as they were. They're about half the size of the flakes that were around yesterday. But it's snowing here. Okay. The sons of Eliab, Nemuel and Dathan and Abiram. These are the Dathan and Abiram that were called by the congregation who contended against Moses and against Aaron in the company of Korah when they contended against the Lord. And the earth opened its mouth and swallowed them up along with Korah. When that company died, when the fire devoured 250 men so that they became a warning. The sons of Korah, however, did not die. The sons of Simeon, according to their families. Now, Simeon is the second born son of Jacob. Okay, Simeon is the second born. Okay, they've concluded at the end of verse 10. They have concluded the matter in terms of those who would be counted from the house of Reuben. Okay, does that make sense? Reuben is now concluded, and now we're on to Simeon, the second son of Jacob. The sons of Simeon, according to their families, of Nemuel, the family of the Nemuelites, of Jamin, the family of the Jaminites, of Jashin, the family of Jashinites, of Zerah, the family of the Zerahites, of Shaul, the family of Shaulites. These are the families of the Simeonites, 22,200. The sons of Gad, okay, that concludes Simeon. Now we're into Gad. The sons of Gad, according to their families, of Zephon, the family of the Zephonites, or Haggai, the family of the Haggites, of Shuni, the family of the Shunites, of Ozni, the family of the Oznites, of Eri, the family of the Erites, of Arad, the family of the Aradites; of Areli, the family of Arelites, you know. These are the families of the sons of Gad according to those who were numbered of them, 40,500. Now that's quite a significant leap, because if you look at Reuben, he had in his group on chapter 7, he had 43,730 men in his tribe over the age of 20 that were able to go to war. And Simeon had 22,200 men over the age of 20 who were able to go to war. And now Gad has 40,500 who are able to go to war. So we're over 100,000 people here so far. Okay, 19. The sons of Judah were Er and Onan, but Er and Onan died in the land of Canaan. The sons of Judah, according to their families, were of Shelah, the family of the Shelonites; of Perez, the family of the Perizzites; of Perizzites,
Not parasites.
not parasites. Yes,
Now, this is just of the men, correct?
yes,
Okay, not the women.
not the women, not the
What
wives,
about-
sisters, daughters, none of them.
Okay.
And
Got it.
how old did the men have to be?
At
20.
least 20 years old.
20.
20.
Okay, thank
20
you.
old. Certainly.
It says it
Um,
in 26 to 20 years old and up.
Yeah. Verse 21. The sons of Perez were Hezron, the family of the Hezronites; of Hamul, the family of the Hamulites. These were the families of Judah according to those who were numbered. And two of them were missing that died out in the wilderness, but still from just that family alone, that family line produced of males 20 years old and older, 76,500 capable of going to war.
What's the time frame? Do we know like how many years have passed or anything?
Between the beginning and the census now, it's close to 40 years. It's close to
Okay.
it.
That's still a lot of people. Wow.
It is a lot of people.
Okay.
Big
40 years.
difference.
They may have had quite a few coming out of Egypt, but they were added to along the way.
What do you mean?
Well, it wasn't just 12 men and wives coming out of Egypt. They already had established clans and families, and the sons of Jacob had already had ancestors or progeny going down the line, because that was 400 years in captivity in Egypt, and during that time they excelled and grew and everything else. And now they were taken into the wilderness, and during the wilderness, the original generation that went into the wilderness was there, and they wandered for 40 years and died off. And at the end of this, going into the promised land, now they're looking at that first generation being gone and the continuing generations going forward.
That was
Does that
you.
make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
That was your phone dinged. Rick. I could hear it.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay. 23, the sons of Issachar. So we are concluded with the sons of Judah. Okay. Now we're going on to Issachar. The sons of Issachar, according to their families: of Tola, the family of Tolites, or Tolaites; of Puvah, the family of Punites, which I find odd. They're Puvah, but they're not Puvites, they're Punites. I don't know why that is. I wish I knew more, but I don't. I'll look into it.
Please
And
tell
if I
me
find
now.
anything interesting, I'll let you know. 24, of Jashub, the family of the Jashubites; of Shimron, the family of Shimronites. These are the families of Issachar, according to those who were numbered of them: 64,300 men, aged 20 years and older, capable of going to war. We are well over 200,000 people now. An army of over 200,000. The sons of Zebulun, according to their families: of Sered, the family of the Seredites; of Elon, the family of the Elonites; of Jaleel, the family of the Jaleelites. That's a mouthful. Jaleelites. Say that 3 times fast. First, spin around several times with your eyes closed in an area where there are no obstructions on which you might become hurt or impaled. and then say Jalalites 3 times. Never mind. Anyway, 27. These are the families of the Zebulonites, according to those who were numbered of them, 60,500. Now I think we're above 300,000 soldiers, men 20 years of age and older. The sons of Joseph, according to their families, Manasseh and Ephraim. The sons of Manasseh. Now remember that Manasseh and Ephraim were the sons of Joseph. Okay. All right. So the sons of Joseph, according to their families, Manasseh and Ephraim. The sons of Manasseh, of Machir, the family of the Machirites, and the Machir became the father of Gilead. Of Gilead, the family of the Gileadites. These are the sons of Gilead. Of Lezer, the family of the Lezerites. Of Helek, the family of the Helekites. And of Esrael, the family of the Esraelites. And of Shechem, the family of the Shechemites. And of Shemida, the family of the Shemidaites, whatever. And of Hefer, the family of the Heferites. Now, Zelophehad, the son of Hefer, had no son, but only daughters. And the names of the daughters of Zelophehad, whatever, were Mala, Noah, Hagla, Milcah, and Tisra.
Where are we at again? What number?
33.
Sorry.
Questions?
33.
Comments?
Why would they list the names of the daughters?
Just to let you know that he had progeny. He just didn't have any sons that he could contribute.
Okay.
These are the families of Manasseh, who were those, and those who were numbered of them were 52,700. Now we're closing in.
Good question.
Yes, ma'am.
Do they recognize stepsons? Back
Well,
then?
they weren't stepsons. If they were brought into the family, then they were considered sons.
Oh, so it may not be just biological sons. It may be stepsons as well, right?
Well, they would make a distinction for genealogical purposes to some degree, but not necessarily, because if a father accepted the responsibility of raising the son, then they became his son. At some point, they may, just for the sake of historicity, of accounting purposes, they may say this was the son of so-and-so who became the son of so-and-so.
Now, one question. All
Yes,
of
ma'am.
these numbers, are they being taken at the same time
Yes, they're
from
all,
these different families?
yes.
From the different, okay.
All right, they're all going out, they're all numbering, and they're all getting together, and they're all coming with these final numbers. This is whom we can
Right, from
contribute.
each family, okay.
Right. Did that answer your question, Rachel?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so we're closing in. We're coming close to 400,000 soldiers, military age soldier capable. 35. These are the sons of Ephraim, according to the families of Shethula, the family of the Shethulaites, of Becher, the family of Becherites, of Tahan, the family of the Tahanites. These are the sons of Shuthala, of Iran, the family of the Aaronites. These are the families of the sons of Ephraim, according to those who were numbered to them, 32,500. These are the sons of Joseph, according to their families. The sons of Benjamin, according to their families, of Bela, the family of the Belaites, of Ashbel, the family of the Ashbelites, of Ahiram, the family of the Ahiramites, of Zephufim, the family of the Zephumites, of Hupham, the family of the Huphamites. The sons of Bela were Ard and Naaman. Of Ard, the family of the Ardites. Of Naaman, the family of the Naamites. These are the sons of Benjamin, according to their families, and those who were numbered of them were 46,500. These are the sons of Dan, which is another son, according to their families. Of Shuham, the family of the Shuhamites. These are the families of Dan, according to their families. All the families of the Shuhamites, according to those who were numbered of them, were 64,400. What a prolific tribe. Seriously, the sons of Asher, according to their families. Of Imnah, the family of the Imnites. Of Ishvi, the family of the Ishvites. Of Beriah, or Beriah, the family of the Beriites. Of the sons of Beriah, of Heber, the family of the Heberites. Of Malchiel, the family of the Malchielites. The name of the daughter of Asher was Sarah. These are the families of the sons of Asher according to those who were numbered of them, 53,400. Now we are closing in on 500,000 soldiers, an army of 500,000 people. The sons of Naphtali, according to their families of Jaziel, the family of the Jazielites, of Guni, the family of the Gunites, of Jazer, the family of the Jezerites, of Shalem, the family of the Shelemites. Verse 50. These are the families of Naphtali according to their families, and those who were numbered of them were 45,400. These are the sons, these are those who were numbered of the sons of Israel. 601,730. Well, I missed some people there, apparently, because that's a lot of people. 600,730. 601,730. So nearly 602,000 people are now over the age of 20, male, and able to fight. This is quite an army. This is an enormous army.
Right.
Now, later on in the book of Revelation, when John reveals that the armies of the East, the armies of the kings of the East number 200,000. If you put the zeros behind that, that's 200 million. An army of 200 million infantry. That was more than the amount of people on the face of the planet at that time. So for him to come up with a number of 200 million seemed extremely absurd, except back in the late 60s, China bragged that they specifically could field an army of infantry, simply infantry, no artillery, no anything else, no support, just infantry of 200 million. And that's an amazing number. So, 52. Then the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, among these the land shall be divided for an inheritance according to the number of names. To the larger group you shall increase their inheritance, and to the smaller group you shall diminish their inheritance. Each shall be given their inheritance according to those who were numbered of them. But the land shall be divided by lot. They shall receive their inheritance according to the names of the tribes of their fathers. Now, this is the divvying up of what would become the Israel and the nation of Israel. And we'll see that on the maps later on, which tribes, where they resided, specifically in that geographical area. 55, but the land shall be divided by lot. They shall receive their inheritance according to the names of the tribes of their fathers. According to the selection by lot, their inheritances shall be divided between the larger and the smaller groups.
Wait, Rick.
Yes, ma'am.
It says by lot. What specifically does he mean?
They're divvying them up. It's not already predetermined.
Not with the person lot, correct?
No. Like by lottery, if you will.
Oh, okay.
57. These are those who were numbered of Levites according to their families. Of Gershon, the family of the Gershonites. Of Kohath, the family of Kohathites. Of Merari, the family of Merarites. These are the families of Levi. The family of the Libnites, the family of the Hebronites, the family of the Malites, the family of the Mushites, and the family of the Korahites. Kohath became the father of Amram. The name of Amram's wife was Jochebed, the daughter of Levi, who was born to Levi in Egypt. And she bore Amram, Aaron, and Moses, and their sister Miriam. To Aaron were born Nadab and Abihu, Eleazar, and Ithamar. But Nadab and Abihu died when they offered strange fire before the Lord. We went through that earlier in this book. Those who were numbered of them were 23,000, every male from a month old and upward, for they were not numbered among the sons of Israel, since no inheritance was given to them among the sons of Israel. Remember, because they are the priestly caste.
Oh, right.
And they're not going to be landowners. Their entire purpose is to tend to the holy implements and tent of meeting, and what would later become the temple there, and they would be doing the sacrifices and oblations, and their portion was they would receive from those making offerings and sacrifices,
Okay.
because they were always there to tend to the holy sites. 63, these are those who were numbered by Moses and Eleazar the priest, who numbered the sons of Israel in the plains of Moab by the Jordan at Jericho. But among those, there was not a man of those who was numbered by Moses and Aaron the priest, who numbered the sons of Israel in the wilderness of Sinai. Those people were all gone. They have all passed. For the Lord had said of them, they shall surely die in the wilderness, and not a man was left of them except Caleb, the son of Jephunneh, and Joshua, the son of Nun, not of a Nun, but of Nun, not N-O-N-E, but N-U, yes.
Okay, in 63, where it says, these are those who were numbered by, that's to follow, correct? Is that what that means? And he,
who were numbered among.
okay. Okay, got it. Thank you.
And thus ends chapter 26. Shall we continue?
Sure.
Wait, let me just verify. So at the beginning of 26, it says, the Lord spoke to Moses and to Eleazar, the son of Aaron, tell him to take a census. Okay. But then, so then in 64, it says, oh, no, in 63, these are those who are numbered by Moses, Eleazar, the priest. Okay. All right. I think I got it.
Okay, does that make
Yeah.
sense?
I think so, yeah.
Because in the latter, he's talking about those who were numbered to be among the priests. Okay, and those who were numbered among that generation that was to die in the wilderness. And God said, this generation will pass away in the wilderness. They're not going to see the promised land. And he was even referring to Aaron, who's now dead in this where we are in the book, and Moses, who is extremely advanced in years, coming up on his demise.
Mhm.
And of that generation that left Egypt and wandered in the wilderness for 40 years, the only two that are going to enter into the promised land are Joshua, who would replace Moses, and Caleb, who was one of the other spies. Those two
So
came back with
Moses never made it.
No, he saw it. He was able to look into it, but he was not allowed to go into it.
And when they looked into it, that was the one with the giants, right? That was the
Yes.
land. It
Yes.
was initially covered with giants. Okay.
Yes. Well, I don't know that it was covered with giants, but
Well-
there were giants there. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And the spies came back. 10 of them reported, "Oh, we can't go in there. You know, the danger is too great. These people it's violent, and there's giants, and we
Right.
can't go in there." But Caleb and Joshua came back saying, let's go take it. You know, God's given this to us. Let's go. And so those two are allowed to go in. The other 10 spies and everybody else of that unbelieving generation, God said, nope, you're not going in. You're not going in.
Okay.
Which is a testimony to our own faithfulness or lack thereof. What God has said he will accomplish is going to be accomplished, with or without us. Okay? He said that he was going to deliver the Israelites into the land of milk and honey, and he intended to do exactly that. Whether that first generation believed him or not, and clearly they did not, he didn't need them to go in because there were other Israelites. So the continuing generations were going to go in there, but that generation that didn't believe him, they were out of luck. They were just out of luck. Their decision was, we don't trust God enough to do what he says. We don't believe that he will accomplish what he set out to accomplish. We can't trust him to do this. And so God says, fine, let your own, lack of trust and lack of faith be counted against you. You're not going into my promised land. You're not going to be the ones to take it. You're not going to be the ones to do any of that. You aren't even going to enjoy that. I'm going to send in men that are 20 years old and a little older. You old men could have gone in and taken it, when you were young, but now you're not going to. Now you're not going in at all. So there's that. Okay. pardon the rabbit trail. What we're at 27.
So,
Okay. Then the daughters of Zelophehad, the son of Hepher, the son of Gilead, the son of Machir, the son of Manasseh, of the families of Manasseh, the son of Joseph, came near. And these are the names of the daughters: Mahlah, Noah, Hoglah, and Milcah, and Tisra. They stood before Moses, and before Eleazar the priest, and before the leaders of all the congregation at the doorway of the tent of meeting, saying, Our father died in the wilderness, yet he was not among the company of those who gathered themselves together against the Lord in the company of Korah, but he died in his own sin, and he had no sons. In other words, what's to become of us? Why should the name of our father be withdrawn from among his family because he had no son? Give us a possession among our father's brothers. So Moses said, "Hang on, let me go talk to the Lord." So he brought them. He spoke to them. So he brought their case before the Lord. Then the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, "The daughters of Zelophehad are right in their statements. You shall surely give them a hereditary possession among their father's brothers, and you shall transfer the inheritance of their father to them. Further, you shall speak to the sons of Israel, saying, If a man dies and has no son, then you shall transfer his inheritance to his daughter." Now, you hear these modern day quasi feminists talking about the patriarchy that was against women and the misogyny of the Old Testament. And here is an absolute example of how wrong that is, how wrong they are in their statements. This is not a misogynist thing. This is not there is no denial here. They came and they brought to the Lord's attention that that they didn't have an inheritance, and he said, "Well, let's fix that." In fact, this is going to be a hereditary inheritance. So from now on, and if there's any man who has children but doesn't have sons, he doesn't lose his inheritance. His inheritance will pass on to his daughters. It becomes familial. There is no.
but if he has sons, our sons and daughters, it won't go to the daughters at all, just the
Right.
sons.
However, provision is that the sons would take care of their sisters.
Oh,
Now,
so that's what he said the father. Well, is that why he said father's brothers?
yes, they're uncles.
Since they had, okay.
No
Now,
sons.
how does that work? Okay, this goes back to the creation account. For what purpose was Adam made?
For God.
For God. God created his garden, not Adam's garden, his garden. He created a planet, a garden for himself. And then he created Adam to tend that garden. And then he made two of every species. Not the ones in existence today, because we have all sorts of breeds that are not the same thing as species. But he created two of each species in order to populate that. And he said, go out and multiply. But there was only one Adam. And at some point, we can assume that Adam looked around and noticed that he was singular. This had to be true to some sense, to some degree of the Lord as well, that he realized there is none like me. There is nobody like me. And God, we are told through scripture, is love. And we're given kind of a glimpse of what love that is by the fact that he creates. He creates for whatever reason, because that's what love does. Love creates, protects, sustains, grows, nourishes. It also chastises and disciplines and keeps things in their correct order. But God created the earth for himself. He created Adam to tend the earth, and then he created Eve because Adam was alone. And God said, it's not good for the man to be alone. Adam was made in God's image. Eve was made in Adam's image. This is the hierarchy that God established. He didn't need Eve to tend the garden. His gardener was there, and his gardener was fully capable of taking care of the garden. He needed Eve to tend the gardener. So that's what that was for.
So that's also why he made the men stronger, so that they could tend the garden easier.
Exactly. Yeah. And if you look at the difference between men and women, we are perfect opposites in all the right ways. you know, in all the right ways. We were talking about this last time, in terms of the roles that men and women play. Men are accustomed to, well, they have their bent, if you will, is roughing it to a great degree. I mean, we've become extremely domesticated and extremely soft and pliable in these past 50 years. But prior to that, life was pretty difficult. You know, the predominant majority of people in the country, at least in this country, were agrarians. You know, farmers and the whole nine yards. And that changed as they started moving into the cities and things like that. But in the meantime, if you go back through millennium, life was hard scrabble, life was difficult, life was very rough and physical in every sense. You didn't have the ability to lay up stores for yourself because we didn't have um, refrigeration. I mean, it was possible for people to can things, but that came much later. And so, and even then, people ran the risk of ptomaine poisoning and all sorts of things if things weren't canned correctly. And so it wasn't until the modern industrial age that they found out that they could seal these cans and these containers and keep them airtight, that things were able to be prolonged and their shelf life was extended. Okay, so you get a group of guys, and Thomas Jefferson commissions Lewis and Clark to go find a passageway to the Northwest Ocean, the Pacific. And these guys start out in a boat, in a longboat that's specially made for the thing, and these are just guys, and they're going cross country, and they're using this boat. And when they couldn't find a way to get it across, they'd drag the boat across, or they'd leave the boat behind and they'd go explore. And they didn't care about that. They didn't care about walking through a swamp, and they didn't care about, you know, having to ford rivers or go through mud or do any of that. It didn't really matter because that's how guys are. But when the change came, and the pioneers started making their way westwards, now there are wagons filled with women and children as well. And the women would come to the creek, and I know I'm being repetitive here, but I mean, the women would come to the creek, and the guys would say, "Okay, come on, dear, get off. We're going to go across." And the wife would be like, "No, I'm not walking through that, and you're not going to drag the kids through that either. Find us a different where to go, or we're not going to get all wet and muddy." And so the guys would be like, "Oh, come on, you know, now we got to go search the river. We got to find a shallow spot. We could just come on across." And they're like, "No, we're not guys. We're not going to do it. You know, I don't feel like, you know, getting leeches on me. I don't want mosquitoes or hellgrammites in my shirt or down my boots or anything like that. I don't want that kind of stuff. Find a different way." So the guys would end up finding shallow places to go for the convenience of the women, not because women couldn't be inconvenienced, but because they didn't want to be, and they had the guys there to take care of it. So now you have bridges and then highways. And then instead of sleeping out in the grass all the time, they're like, "No, give me something with a roof over my head. I'm tired of being rained on." You know, so now the guys, or they don't even have to say anything. The guys are just like, "It would be cool. I'm tired of watching my wife, you know, get beat up by the wind and the snow. And man, I'll tell you what, those hailstones that were the size of grapefruits are just beating the snot out of her last night. I don't want to see that. Let's find a way to fix that." You know, so they put up. And then the other guy sees that and says, "Oh man, that'd be good for my wife." And then you got the guy down the road saying, "That'd be good for my wife too." And then you get some other guy saying, "If I don't do that, my wife is just going to give me all kinds of grief until I do, because you guys have that, and I've got her sleeping out there on the farm, you know, out in the pasture, and she doesn't like it at all." And that's how you get technology. That's how you get technology. And so here people are walking around in houses that smell like kerosene, you know, because they either have kerosene lamps or they have, you know, whatever. And at some point, a wife turns to a husband and says, "You know, wouldn't it be great if it was bright in here without the smell of kerosene and all the soot all over everything? I'm tired of cooking chicken or cooking a ham and having it taste like kerosene." The guy's like, "Oh, all right, let's see what we can do about that." Now you got a consortium. They get together and they come up with electric lights. Hey, this is different. You know, it's more convenient. So the purpose of man was to tend the garden for God. The purpose for woman was to tend the gardener and to inspire him to do greater and greater things. Not that the women couldn't, Just they didn't have to. They'd just give a honey-do list, make it warm in here. You know, I know if anybody watches that disagrees with this, I'm going to catch all kinds of grief for it. But I don't care.
You will.
What? Yeah,
You
probably.
might. You might.
I might. But the whole purpose is now, and we were talking about this also, now the enemy has gotten involved with that aspect of creation and the hierarchy there, and is trying to put the kibosh on this as well. Now we have men that believe themselves to be women. And now we have women that believe that men are capable of being women. And eventually what's going to happen is men are going to take over for the women. And you won't have women anymore. And what's going to happen to you guys when that takes place? I heard a very good statement the other night. What's going to happen when you encounter the tyranny of men who believe themselves to be women? They don't need real women because they're not attracted to real women. They don't want that. They seek to replace women. And now what happens is that gains ground and that picks up steam. What we end up with is Sodom and Gomorrah, where you have an entire culture and an entire nation and an entire country or an entire world filled with men who have nothing to do with women and don't care if women exist. And I don't know if that scares you guys, but that scares the snot out of me, because that's the end game for the enemy. If he can eliminate Eve, he can fully corrupt Adam. So that's the end game there. So this is why you have the sports where you have men involving themselves in women's sports. What's the function of women's sports if it's going to be all men pretending to be women? You know, they're pretending to be women so that they can advance themselves in their sports. What use is there having women? So pretty soon you're going to have women's volleyball populated by men dressed up like women. Women's track is going to be taken over by men. You know, women's wrestling is going to be taken over by men. Rollerball will be taken over by men. You know, and where does that leave women? This is not a good thing. This is not a good thing at all. And it isn't liberty that we're looking at. We're looking at a potential tyranny. And it's not that far away. So, prayer, supplication, petition the Lord to put an end to this travesty, because it is gaining ground and it is picking up speed. And as we sit here, it's going to become probably illegal to even say anything contrary to that soon, you know? And so if we close our mouths, the enemy wins, you know? So we need to become vocal about this. We need to become vocal about this. That's my soapbox there. Okay, so where were we?
27.
Questions, comments, statements, objections? Okay. What was your dad joke, Rachel?
You serious?
Yeah.
All right. Why do cows wear bells? Because their horns don't work. I know it's stupid but funny.
I think it's great.
It's
Oh,
great,
good.
isn't it? Yeah.
Good. I'm glad you guys like it.
Yeah.
It's like the horse walks into a saloon, and the bartender takes a good look at the horse and says, "Gee, buddy, why the long face?"
What, we're on 27 and which verse?
Skip to the end, Rick, would you? All right. Chapter 27, verse
10, 11.
10. Let's go back to 8. Further, you shall speak to the sons of Israel, saying, if a man dies and has no son, then you shall transfer his inheritance to his daughter. 9. If he has no daughter, then you shall give his inheritance to his brothers. 10.
Oh,
If he has no brothers, then you shall give his inheritance to his father's brothers. 11. If his father has no brothers, then you shall give his inheritance to his nearest relative in his own family, and he shall possess it, and it shall be a statutory ordinance to the sons of Israel, just as the Lord commanded Moses. He's leaving nothing to chance. Everything is fully regulated. Everything is taken care of. Everything's put in its place. All the I's are dotted and T's are crossed, right? So this becomes a lot of Talmud later on, the division of possessions and how to interpret and exactly interpret the law and the ordinances so that things are accomplished according to the will of the Lord. Okay, so that when a man dies, and this comes up in scripture in the New Testament, where the guy comes to Jesus and says, no, if there's a woman has a husband and he dies, and she marries his brother and he dies, and she marries his brother and he dies, and then she marries his brother and he dies, and up to 7 brothers, what becomes of that woman? Whose husband is she in the afterlife? Because they're
All
concerned
of them.
about this. Well, it can't be all of them because that would be polygamy, but it's one at a time. She's gaining all these husbands. But then
So
at
then
the
what's
end
the
of
answer?
it, and so Jesus says there's going to be none of that in the afterlife. There's no
Oh.
marriage or anything like that in the afterlife. It's singular. You will be on your own, accountable for your deeds and all of that. So there's that. But you can understand why he would ask Jesus that question. Here you're saying that, okay, this guy, he has all this stuff and he dies, but he doesn't have any sons. So it goes to his brothers, and then it goes to his uncles, then it goes to his fathers, and then it goes to here, and it goes to there, and it goes to there, and it goes to there, and it goes to there. Now I'm the guy way down the line. What's going to happen to that stuff? Is any of that coming to me? And so this is what they want to know, which is fine and well, but there's not a lot of faith in it. The faith is that the Lord will provide, regardless of what our situation appears to be. God will always provide. The proof of that is that we are still here. Because if God ceased to provide for us, we would pass away. And not very well either. It would not be a pretty sight. All right. 12. Then the Lord said to Moses, go up to the mountain of Abarim, and see the land which I have given to the sons of Israel. So now he's saying to Moses, you're not going in, but you can at least see it. So go up there and take a look. I'm giving this to the sons of Israel. When you have seen it, you too will be gathered to your people or pass away, as Aaron your brother was. For in the wilderness of Zin, according to the strife of the congregation, you rebelled against my command to treat me as holy before their eyes at the water. These are the waters of Meribah, of Kadesh, in the wilderness of Zin. Remember where he claimed he took credit for it? Didn't I strike the rock and make water come out for you people? He didn't do that. God did that. Think about that. This is God's guy. And when Moses took credit for what God did, it was such a severe blow that he was not allowed to enter into the paradise of the promised land. He was kept out of that. So what's the lesson there? We don't take credit for what God has done. Period. It's not ours to steal from God. That's one of his commandments, right? Thou shalt not steal. And by taking credit for things that are not ours, but are of the Lord, we're stealing from God, right? It stands to reason. 15. Then Moses spoke to the Lord, saying, may the Lord, the God of the spirits of all flesh, appoint a man over the congregation who will go out and come in before them, and who will lead them out and bring them in, so that the congregation of the Lord will not be like sheep which have no shepherd. And this is where the concept of a pastor shepherding his flock comes from. Okay, because this is Moses saying, would you please give these people a shepherd, so that they aren't just milling about aimlessly like sheep. They have somebody to direct their path, and they have somebody to teach them where to go and how to go and when to go and why to go. Then, so the Lord, 18, so the Lord said to Moses, take Joshua, the son of Nun, a man in whom is the Spirit, and lay your hand on him. And this is also where we get the laying on of hands to pass on the mantle. And lay your hand on him, and have him stand before Eleazar the priest and before all the congregation, and commission him in their sight. You shall put some of your authority on him, in order that all the congregation of the sons of Israel may obey him. Moreover, it shall stand before Eleazar the priest, he shall stand before Eleazar the priest, who shall inquire for him by the judgment of the Urim, the breastplate and the helm, before the Lord. At this command, they shall go out, and at his command, they shall come in. Both he and the sons of Israel with him, even all the congregation. So Moses did just as the Lord commanded him. And he took Joshua and set him before Eleazar the priest and before all the congregation. Then he laid hands on him and commissioned him, just as the Lord had spoken through Moses. The end. There you go. Questions, comments, thoughts? Did you have something, Beverly?
No,
No? I thought I saw you waving here.
no, I did. I waved.
Oh,
That it's the completion of that task or that section.
it is. Thus,
Yeah, with Moses.
yeah. And it's a sad passing. Here's Moses, and we've known
Right.
Moses from the very beginning of this because he's been
Right.
writing all this. You know. Deuteronomy follows, which is Hebrew for words, Devarim. Deuteronomy will come up, and that was also written by Moses, but you say, well, how could he write that from the grave? But it's not. It's a rehash of all the things that took place. So there's nothing new in there beyond what he would have written. Did Rachel leave? Do we want to keep going, or do you guys want to call a halt to it right here?
What do you
I
feel
would-
like doing?
It's up to you guys. I'll do whatever you guys want to do. It's 6:15. We can keep going if you want to. 28. It's not that long, but there's quite a bit in here. Still, yeah, let's just keep going then. 28. Then the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, command the sons of Israel and say to them, you shall be careful to present my offering, my food for my offerings by the fire. My food for my offerings by fire of a soothing aroma to me at their appointed time. So he's saying, I've given you a calendar, I've given you a time clock, I've given you a schedule. Make sure you're keeping that. This is serious. I'm serious about this kind of thing. 3, you shall say to them, this is the offering by fire which you shall offer to the Lord. 2 male lambs, 1 year old, without defect, as a continual burnt offering every day. Every day you're going to offer that to him. You shall offer the 1 lamb in the morning, and the other lamb you shall offer at twilight. Also 1/10 of an ephah of fine flour for a grain offering, mixed with 1/4 of a hin of beaten oil. So they're mixing up the flour and the oil together, almost like cakes, right? Into the fire. Okay, you shall offer, excuse me, 6. It is a continual burnt offering, which was ordained in Mount Sinai as a soothing aroma, an offering by fire to the Lord. Then the drink offering with it shall be 1/4 of a hin for each lamb. So that would be half a hin for the day, for each day, right? Quarter hin, once in the morning, once in the evening. Where am I at? In the holy place, you shall pour out a drink offering of strong drink to the Lord. The other lamb you shall offer at twilight as the grain offering of the morning, and as its drink offering you shall offer it, an offering by fire, a soothing aroma to the Lord. Then on the Sabbath day, 2 male lambs, 1 year old and without defect, and 2/10 of an ephah of fine flour mixed with oil as a grain offering and its drink offering. This is the burnt offering of every Sabbath in addition to the continual burnt offering and its drink offering. The Sabbath is holy to the Lord. So they double up on this. Then at the beginning of each of your months, you shall present a burnt offering to the Lord, 2 bulls and 1 ram, 7 male lambs, 1 year old, without defect. It's going to keep somebody busy going through all the lambs to find them without defect that they can offer every day, and then every new moon or every new month. And 3/10 of an ephah of fine flour mixed with oil for a grain offering for each bull. And 2/10 of fine flour mixed with oil for a grain offering for the one ram, and 1/10 of an ephah of fine flour mixed with oil for a grain offering for each lamb, for a burnt offering of a soothing aroma, an offering by fire to the Lord. There is a continual burnt offering made to the Lord day and night, right? Morning and evening. 14, their drink offering shall be half a hin of wine for a bull, and 1/3 of a hin for a ram, and 1/4 of a hin for a lamb. This is the burnt offerings of each month throughout the months of the year. So every month they have to do that. And 1 male goat for a sin offering to the Lord. It shall be offered with its drink offering in addition to the continual burnt offering. These guys are going to be busy. Then on the 14th day of the first month shall be the Lord's Passover. On the 15th day of this month shall be a feast. Unleavened bread shall be eaten for 7 days. On the first day shall be a holy convocation. They're all together, right? You shall do no laborious work. You shall present an offering by fire, a burnt offering to the Lord, 2 bulls and 1 ram and 7 male lambs 1 year old, having them without defect. For their grain offering you shall offer fine flour mixed with oil, 3/10 of an ephah for a bull and 2/10 for the ram. 1/10 of an ephah you shall offer for each of the 7 lambs, and 1 male goat for a sin offering to make atonement for you. It's a lot of animals.
Oh, so aren't they gonna run out of animals?
You would think so. You would think so, but they're not going to, because they're constantly replenishing. But that's not the point. The point is, why so many animals? Because these are sin offerings. Something has to die when the sin is done.
It's amazing that they don't run out of animals.
Right.
It is. But when you stop and think, he's counted up all the eligible people for just 20 years old and over
Mhm.
as soldiery, and they've got 600,000 people there capable of being
Mhm.
soldiers, and you can imagine how many more animals they have running around. It would be a difficult time to eliminate 600,000 animals. You know, just a few a week or 1 or 2 a day. You know, I mean, just in the daily sacrifices, you have 600 and 360, 720. You have 720 lambs offered every year. I mean, you're not going to touch 600,000 there, and that's just people. The 600,000. That's just the people, just the males, 20 years old and up. That's not counting the 19 through birth, and the women and the old men and you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So the numbers of animals that are out there. Now, why is that? Why is that so many deaths? Because there is a lot of sin. Because there is a lot of sin. And every time we sin, God says sin produces death. Sin and death are synonymous. When you sin, your wages, what you have earned, is death. And so instead of us dying, he takes it out on the animals. And that's how it was, this endless array, an endless parade of animals being slaughtered and burnt, slaughtered and burnt, slaughtered and burnt, slaughtered and burnt every single day. And you
How
would
do
think,
they know? God tells them how many, but what about the people that have sinned? Where are they at?
what do you mean, where are they at?
There's a offering for them because they've sinned. But how do they know that?
Well, they bring the offerings to the priests. Now, what he's describing here is simply what he's saying is to be done for him.
Right, for God.
Okay.
Right.
But for each individual, you have daily sacrifices going on there as well. Doves and goats and sheep and cows and all sorts of things. So it's just an endless explosion of death to cover the sins of one single group of people. Now, if each group of people was required to do that throughout the globe, across the planet, there wouldn't be anybody left.
No.
Constantly killing things every single day. This is the whole point. This is the whole point. When you take in the magnitude of that, you say to yourself, it has to be oh my gosh, I can't believe this is the case. I can't believe the cost of this sin. So when God comes along and says, I will end the parade of death and I will take care of all sin for all time, he says it would have to be a perfect human being offered in the likeness and image of God, given freely. They freely step in and pay the price for everybody else. And they are the one without blemish. And that was Jesus. That was God. He knew that no human being could accomplish that, but that he could. And so he created for himself through Miriam a human body, which he occupied, and he lived among us. He lived as us. And then he died for us. Yes, ma'am.
So Jesus is the perfect sacrifice for our sins,
For all time.
all time. But in Israel, in Jerusalem, do they still offer animal sacrifices for Thanksgiving
Yes.
or any other?
Yes.
Mhm, mhm.
Yes. And it was within that generation that the temple was torn down. It was in the generation wherein Jesus was crucified and died that the temple was torn down. There was no longer any need for that. So I know you have to be somewhere at 7, right, Rachel? As do I.
Yes.
So
Maybe.
what verse are we at? Did we finish up to 29?
We
Tenth
got
of each
28, 20, I think.
No, I think we're past that. Fine flower. I think we're up to 29, 28, 29. A tenth of
Okay.
each for the 7 lambs, also 1 male goat to make atonement for you. Yeah, that's what that was. 31.
Okay.
Besides the continual burnt offering, the grain offering, you shall present them with their drink offerings. They shall be without defect. We're
Okay.
going to stop there. So
Okay.
we'll pick up at the beginning of chapter 29. Let's keep everybody in our prayers.
Okay.
Yeah, it was good to see you guys.
Thank you.
This was kind of a dry one this week because the material was that numbers, right?
It was
So,
interesting, though, very interesting,
yeah.
I think.
Yeah, very,
Alrighty.
very interesting. It's cool because this is the creator of everything, and he gives us these glimpses into his mind and into his will and things. And it doesn't when we stop and think about it on our level, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to us. But it's like Paul said in 1 Corinthians 13, he talks about, then we will know fully just as we are fully known. Now we see as through a glass darkly, but then we will know fully just as we are fully known. And so it will be revealed to us all of these things, and he'll make known to us the extent of why he did these things. And I have a feeling that when we pass and after the judgment, when we come into his presence and we stand there and we are now fully under his grace, not that we're not now, but in a different way then, and we are fully in his presence, that the knowledge that he's going to extend to us concerning himself and all the things he's done is just going to be so much and so beautiful and so fulfilling that we can't want for anything else. I hear a lot of people say, well, when I get to heaven, I'm going to spend all day fishing. And I think to myself, that's crazy. You're in the presence of God. You are in the presence of Almighty God. I can't think of anything I'd rather be doing. And I think that when we get into the presence of Almighty God, fishing and hunting and knitting and jumping and, jumping jacks and whatever else, I don't think it's ever going to come to mind. Running, leaping, hopping, jumping, popping. I don't think any of that's going to come to mind. I think we're just going to be completely overwhelmed by the enormity of the love of the Lord, and that we get to be in his presence, not through anything we did, but because he's allowed it. And I think, what else is there? What else is there? All right. Anybody else?
Well, I always thought after I paid my penance for whatever I've done wrong, that I'd be on my little cloud zipping around visiting with everybody, and nobody will I dislike, or they won't dislike me. I'll just be happy.
All alone on your cloud?
On my cloud, yep, zipping around.
Isn't that a Rolling Stones song? Hey, hey, you get off of my cloud. Hey, hey,
I have
hey.
no idea.
No, I think
That's why I'm in Bible study right now.
there you go. There you go.
All right. Thank
Well, we
you.
love you, Beverly. And I'm glad you're here.
Yeah,
And I'm
Thank
glad
you.
you're not alone on that cloud.
we
Right.
agree.
There's no need to be. All right.
No.
So, well, the sun's come out. The sun has come
All
out.
right.
I think it stopped snowing. Okay.
Life
I'm going
is
to end the
good.
recording and then we're going to close in prayer. Is that
Okay.
okay?
Mhm.